AITA for telling my mother's surrogate son to UCK off and leave me alone, otherwise he won't get to have a real funeral for her. My mother kicked me out when I was 16 because I was gay. She was deeply homophobic, religious, and didn't want a disgusting son like me. I never saw her again. A man reached out to me a few days ago and told me my mother was like a mom to him and she was in her final stages of life. He wanted me to come back and say goodbye and arrange her funeral. I was shocked because he eventually admitted hiring someone to get info on me so he could reach out. I told him I was not interested and to leave me alone. He has not. He has continued to try and get me involved, has told me how she changed and accepted him and loved him despite him being gay. I asked him if he really thought it would make me feel better that she could come around for a stranger but not her son. Yesterday she died, called to tell me and told me she had deserved better and I should put the past behind me and do right by her. I told him to UCK off and leave me alone, otherwise I will go back and claim my mother's body and I will make sure she gets the cheapest send-off imaginable and that he will not be anywhere near it. He told me it wasn't his fault she failed me and it was my fault she never got to make it right and I was unfair on him. AITA?
AITA for telling my brother he is not child-free? My brother, Brandon, is 16 and decided I shilled free. Which basically just means he doesn't want to be around our 4-year-old little cousin. We have dinner at our grandparents' every other weekend together with all our aunts, uncles and cousins. Brandon never liked our little cousin, and recently he decided that means he doesn't have to talk to her or acknowledge her existence at all. Brandon will 100% ignore her, and if she keeps trying to talk to him, he will stand up and go to another room. The parents don't really care about it. They are usually busy with talking to each other and don't pay attention to us. Last weekend, Brandon was ignoring our little cousin once again. She was showing him her drawings when he stood up and went away. Started crying and I went after Brandon to call him out on it. He said he was child-free and he doesn't have to engage with children if he doesn't want to. He is not rude or mean to her, so he is not doing anything wrong. I told him he can't be child-free when he is a child himself and he is being mean to our cousin. He then acted like I committed the most atrocious crime for not believing he knows he will never want children, and has been sending me links about people knowing really young that they don't want children. But that's not what I meant at all. I was calling him out on being mean to a 4-year-old little girl just because, and I don't care if he will ever have children or not. AITA? AITA for taking my straight female friends out to a lesbian bar because they always make me go to gay bars? I'm 26M and straight. I have a group of friends with a few more women than men. We go out a couple nights a week. Every time we go out, the girls all insist we end up at a gay club at the end of the night. To be clear, I don't normally mind, but it's getting excessive. I can't remember the last time they didn't insist we go, and lately I've been getting hit on a lot and some of the drunk guys at the bars get very handsy. It's gotten uncomfortable at this point, so I've started leaving early to go home or hang out with other friends. Some of the other guys in our group feel the same way. I tried to bring it up but they don't listen and accuse me of acting homophobic, which I am not. My sister is bi and suggested our city has a lesbian bar and I should take them there to see how they react. To be clear, this bar does openly welcome straight and cisgendered people, so we weren't violating their space. Anyway, there was a basketball game last night and this bar sets up a game night whenever our local NBA team is playing. I suggested we go there to watch the game and most of the group came along. They immediately got really uncomfortable when other women started flirting with them at the bar and offering to buy them drinks. It lasted about an hour before the girls all took off. A couple of the other guys and I actually ended up staying. The women there were all really cool and we made some new friends. The group chat this morning has been a big argument. The girls all say it was up. We took them there. I told them to stop acting homophobic. The other guys in the chat are mostly supporting me and saying they have no leg to stand in since we always constantly agree to join them at gay clubs and never complain. I actually want to start going there regularly on game nights. It's a really fun atmosphere and everyone we met was awesome. AITA?
AITA for leaving my husband alone with the kids for 2 days. I, 24F, have 2 sets of twins. First set are 5-year-old boys and the second set are 3-year-old girls. My husband, 27, always complains that the house isn't up to his standards and that it's a mess, or that I sometimes put on frozen meals instead of cooking a fresh dinner. It's super irritating because I'm expected to do everything just because I work from home. He thinks that I have it easier than job than his, which is physical labor. I can never do anything because when he has time off all he wants to do is sleep and says he needs it because he is exhausted from work or he wants to use his break to hang with his friends. So basically all the chores are usually thrown on me and I had enough of it and it came to show when my friend called me to hang out and when I asked my husband to watch them so I can go he went into a rant about how he's tired and been working all weekend. The least I could do is watch the children so that he could get some rest because I'm home all day with easy work. So I decided after I put the children to sleep that night to leave a note saying that I'll be out, just leave and have a night out with the girls, which ended up turning into a weekend out with the girls. When morning time came he was calling and texting me non-stop and when I answered he was yelling at me and cursing me out. When my friends overheard the conversation they were shocked and hanged up the phone for me and told me to mute it. I didn't have any plans to stay any longer that night, but when my friends overheard how my husband spoke to me they convinced me to stay and even told me they'd take me out to eat and planned a whole day for me. When I got back the place was a complete and utter mess, like pile full of dishes, garbage all over the place, floors were sticky, there was pee all over the toilet and the place just smelled awful. My husband of course was angry and had a suitcase already packed. He barely said 2 words to me and just left and texted me saying he'll be staying at this mom's. Now I feel horrible because clearly he couldn't handle taking care of the kids for this long by himself and I feel like an SS-hole and don't want this to ruin my marriage. Do you all think I'm an SS-hole for the way I acted?
AITA for saying, I don't want to die, when a girl said she could spot me. Earlier today, I was benching in my school's gym. I usually don't go on Tuesdays, but I'm trying to throw in some more work throughout the week. There wasn't really anybody I know for real when I was up there, so when I needed a spot I just called out Tono one in particular asking for a spot. The first person to say something is this girl who I knew would be no help. Not a beat after finishes saying that she can spot me I say, I'm not trying to die today. She had this offended look on her face and I was like, can you deadlift 315? She didn't say nothing and I said, that's what I thought. I get somebody else to spot me and go on and finish my workout. When I'm walking about trying to get to my car to go home, she comes up to me and starts jawing about how I was sexist and all that. That I was disrespectful just because she was a girl and I should apologize for being misogynistic. That's not true at all. I just knew she wouldn't be able to do anything if I were to fail the rep. When I'm doing a hard workout I do tend to be short with people, so maybe I could have been a little more polite, but I don't think I did anything wrong. AITA? WIBTA for not building a ramp to our house for disabled nephew? My wife and I recently bought a new house. After we closed on the house, my sister came to see it and asked when we would like her husband to install a ramp. The ramp is for her son, who is in a wheelchair. He and other nieces and nephew used to come over to our old house all the time to hang out with our kids. My sister's husband, who works in construction, previously installed a ramp in our old house as well as my brother's house because he and my sister want their son to feel welcome in everyone's home. Our previous house was very standard and installing a ramp was easy. This new house, however, sits up high, which means it needs a very long ramp. After measuring according to specifications, we realized that we cannot install a ramp unless we get rid of some of our home's features. Our front yard is a tiered garden. It is my wife's favorite feature as she is an avid gardener. We probably would not have bought this house if not for the garden, as we had our eye on another. If we built a ramp leading to the front door, it would cover the majority of the tiered garden. The only other option is the side door. We do not have a back door. The side door, however, leads directly into the driveway that goes up alongside the house to the garage in the back. If we built a ramp in this area, it would make the driveway too narrow for many of our vehicles. We have very limited parking on our street, so we would basically lose half our driveway parking. I also wouldn't be able to get my old muscle car in the garage where I had planned on storing it. I've explained this to my sister and she is unhappy about our reasonings. Especially the one for the front door. She says she gets the parking problem, but the garden is just a cosmetic thing and not worth making her son feel unwanted or like a second thought. Other family is also unhappy because now our house is unusable for family parties since nephew won't be able to come. We do family parties on a rotating system between me and my brother since we're the only ones with big enough homes. I said we could do family parties out in the backyard in the summer. It's big and has a lot of trees and a large canopy area where we can put some nice outside furniture and barbecue. The garage also has a bathroom that is accessible, so it shouldn't be a problem for nephew to come so long as everyone hangs out outside. They think it's unreasonable because it will be too hot to stay outside the whole time and people will need air conditioning. If they go inside to cool down, nephew will feel left out. My brother also doesn't like that the burden is now on him to always host. Since he will always have to host for Thanksgiving and Christmas, which are the most hectic holidays.